Welcome to your next course on connection. And we've been talking about mom ego in the last session, and we're going to talk about that again today and some ways to remedy it. When we talk about mom ego, it's such a foreign concept. And so I get that this is, for some of you, a whole new way of thinking about your power and your wounds and things you're trying to process and get through and get over. So I will say this, if these couple of days are just too heavy and too much and you can't even process through, feel free, of course, to always ask me questions. But as time goes on, if it doesn't start to make some sense, then of course, call a counselor or a therapist, a pastor, or your best friend, and ask them their opinions and get some other information and help to kind of augment this, because I tread lightly in introducing such a revolutionary new concept because it's incredibly powerful. So we're going to go on, and I'm going to assume that you're okay with the last session's material, and we're going to move on to this one. Again, we're talking about the mom ego, because it's the thing that separates us from connecting with our kids. And what I promise you is that if you do the work on the mom ego and connect to your kids, you'll probably, most likely, be able to connect to a partner, your boss, your friends, and everybody, extended family, in a whole completely different new way, okay? This is going to take time and practice, and these concepts I'm introducing to you, but they're very powerful. So here we go. So whenever we say, you made me feel, then typically we're responding out of some wounds that we had when we were a little kid, and people have done stuff to us, and those wounds need to heal. Sometimes we can heal it ourselves, sometimes we need help. So, but whenever we're saying somebody makes us do something, feel something, act a certain way, well, you made me do this. If we tell our kid, well, you made me punish you, well, you made me do that, and how come you're not listening to me? I thought you loved me. Like all this is all requiring that somebody behave a certain way so we feel loved, or we feel respected, or we feel heard. It keeps us in a victim place because we're always dependent on somebody else's behavior. There's a remedy. Okay, so we're trying to not give other people power over us. That forces us into control because we want everybody to do and love us and take care of us and be happy with us, which, like ever in the history of ever, does that ever work? And if it does, then it's temporary. So here's a solution. There's actually two here, but the first one I'm going to introduce. I wish I knew who this was, but like 10, 15 years ago, there was a dating coach on Oprah, and she had a pineapple between her and Oprah. And she said, Oprah, do you like pineapple? And Oprah was like, no, I hate pineapple. And she was like, I love pineapple. She said, Oprah, did the pineapple do anything to you ever? She's like, no, I just don't like it. I don't like how it tastes. I think it's bitter, and it's hard to cut. And she said, but did the pineapple do anything to you? She's like, no. She said, and I love pineapple. It's tropical, and I love the uniqueness of it, and I think it's sweet. And she said, did the pineapple change anything about itself for me to love it? She's like, no. So we are to be the pineapple. We already are. We are just who we are. So we don't need people's opinions to make us feel good or not, because we are just a pineapple. I know that's going to take a minute to sit in. If people think negatively about us, it doesn't change us. If people think positively about us, it does feel good. But again, it doesn't change us. It doesn't actually make us better in some way, because we are who we are. And the great thing about that is that we can believe amazing things about ourselves, okay? Because that's what matters most. We are just pineapples. Secondly, when we feel like people are coming at us, or we feel like we are a victim in some way, or we feel like doesn't like us, or they're on us, or they're not listening to us, we can go what we've called in my house, you go tend your own yard, which means you just need to take a step back from the situation and say to yourself, wow, what am I feeling right now? Well, I feel like this person doesn't like me, and they're disrespecting me, and they're hating me, and we're going through all this. But we're doing it without this other person there. We're just talking to ourselves. Okay, so what did they do? Well, they consistently have been saying negative things to me. Okay, great. But does that mean anything about me? No, not really. Why? Because I'm the pineapple. Ah, okay. But what does need to be corrected? Well, that behavior. Because if they're saying negative things all the time, like in the house and being disrespectful, that behavior is going to carry out in the world, and we can address the behavior. So what's great is after we tend our own yard, we recognize our own hurts and expectations and what we wanted and what we needed and what we thought and our hurts and do that for ourselves. And we can separate it from their behavior. So these are two separate things we're working on. We're no longer saying, hey, you need to listen to me and you need to respect me because I'm your mother. We're saying, hold on, I'm kind of hurt, frustrated right now, I need a minute. We go tend our own yard. Wow, somebody, I don't give them the power to make me feel this way. I take back my power to feel amazing and strong, and I'm going to be the pineapple right now. But there is an action that needs to be corrected. So what is that action? And I'm going to separate that from my emotions and feelings and everything else that's going on. I'm going to decide that I'm not going to give in to a reaction to them and call that parenting. Right? I'm going to choose that I'm going to pull my emotion out of it, and I'm going to look at their behavior, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, hey, look, here's the deal. You have consistently, over the last couple of days, said these negative things to me. I'm requesting that you stop this behavior. Should this continue, here's some consequences. I'm just letting you know. We all know they're going to they're going to do that choice again because they're going to test limits, and you're going to enforce the consequences. Why? Because it's no longer emotional. It's no longer about, oh my gosh, you're doing it again, and here I feel awful again, and I told you this makes me feel bad. See, we're not involving ourselves in that. We're just objectively saying, oh, next day they're negative. Okay, we talked about this yesterday. You're choosing to continue this. I'm going to choose to give you the consequences. We're done. So this is a whole different paradigm of tending our yard, being a pineapple, being really responsible, fully responsible for our own feelings and our own emotions, not dumping them on others, honoring them, giving us our own self-compassion, but not demanding that people act in a certain way so that we feel great about ourselves or we feel whatever. I know this is a lot. But the bottom line is that we get to choose and take responsibility for ourselves. We don't have to control and take care of everybody else and make everybody else and do everything for everybody else. When we deal with our own emotions and feelings, what's left is just behaviors and actions. And when we see that, we're actually really powerful to be able to figure that out and deal with it. We can make requests. We can say, hey, I think there's more for you to be able to act on, and I don't want you to do this behavior. So this is enough for today. I'm going to give you some worksheets below. We're going to have you dig a little deeper and see where the places are that you could be the pineapple. Maybe some places where you need to realize you're saying, you make me feel this way, or I don't get enough time, or nobody's listening to me. And that makes me this or that, and how come you guys, and I need you too. These are all words and phrases that we're still looking at. And then we're going to say, let me tend my own yard. I want you to step back out of the situation, look at your emotions versus look at their actions, and come back and deal with that, knowing that you're the pineapple.